Chapter 1. The Challenge. 9 weeks into his new role, Haruto had built an impressive toolkit of memory techniques. Each method had helped him overcome specific professional challenges. Tanaka-san, I'm assigning you as lead consultant for our new healthcare project with Asahi Medical Systems. This is a 6-month development cycle with strict compliance requirements. Thank you for your confidence, Director. I'll prepare thoroughly. This assignment differs from your previous projects. You must maintain precise recall of technical specifications, compliance requirements, and healthcare terminology throughout the entire development cycle. Memory lapses months into development could lead to serious compliance violations. The healthcare industry has zero tolerance for such errors. As Haruto reviewed the materials, he realized the scale of the memory challenge. Unlike his previous assignments requiring short-term recall, this project demanded consistent memory over months. My techniques worked well for presentations, meetings, and short-term projects. But maintaining this level of detail for 6 months is different. How can I ensure I won't forget critical requirements by month 3 or 4? Chapter 2. Frustration. After the initial project briefing with Asahi Medical Systems, Haruto created comprehensive notes using his existing memory techniques. He used chunking for the technical specifications, a memory palace for the system architecture, and phonological distinctiveness for medical terminology. He felt confident in his preparation. 2 weeks later, however, during a planning meeting, Haruto encountered a problem. Could you clarify how our patient data classification system aligns with Section 4.7 of the compliance requirements? Haruto hesitated. Despite his thorough preparation, some of the specific details had already begun to fade. Section 4.7. That covers data classification for... Let me consult my notes quickly. That evening, concerned by his memory lapse, Haruto attempted an intensive review of all project materials. If I'm already forgetting details after 2 weeks, how will I maintain accuracy over 6 months? I can't spend hours reviewing everything every day. It's not sustainable with my workload. In the next progress meeting, Haruto noticed other team members similarly struggling to maintain precise recall of project details from the initial briefing. The challenge wasn't unique to him, but as project lead, his memory lapses could have greater consequences. Chapter 3. Discovery. The following day, as Haruto updated his project timeline, Mei noticed his concerned expression. You look worried about the healthcare project. I'm concerned about maintaining accurate memory of all requirements over 6 months. My intensive review approach isn't sustainable. You need spaced repetition. It's designed specifically for long-term retention. Mei opened her tablet and showed Haruto a graph. This is the forgetting curve. Our memory of new information decays following this predictable pattern. Without review, we forget approximately 75% within a week. That matches my experience with the healthcare regulations. Spaced repetition works with this natural pattern. Instead of reviewing everything constantly, you review information just before you're likely to forget it. She demonstrated a simple digital flashcard system on her tablet. The system schedules reviews at increasing intervals. If you recall something correctly, the next review is scheduled further in the future. If you struggle, it's scheduled sooner. So it's more efficient because I'm only reviewing what I need when I need it. Exactly. It's based on memory research, showing that recalling information just as you're about to forget it strengthens the neural pathways most effectively. Reviewing too often is inefficient. Reviewing too late means relearning from scratch. Haruto immediately saw how this could solve his long-term memory challenge. Unlike his previous techniques, focusing on how to encode information, spaced repetition addressed when to review it. Chapter 4. Practice. That weekend, Haruto developed a spaced repetition system for the healthcare project. He broke down project information into reviewable chunks and created digital flashcards for each component. For complex concepts, he incorporated his previous techniques, using memory palaces and visualization within the cards. He set up the system to schedule reviews at expanding intervals: 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, and so on. As he correctly recalled information, it would appear less frequently. Over the next week, Haruto discovered that brief, focused reviews at the right intervals were far more effective than his previous intensive study sessions. A 15-minute daily review of just the cards scheduled for that day maintained his memory while fitting easily into his workday. This is remarkably efficient. Instead of reviewing everything superficially, I'm focusing deeply on just what needs reinforcement today. He experimented with combining his previous techniques with spaced repetition. Chunking helped organize related information into meaningful groups. Memory palaces helped retain complex relationships. Phonological distinctiveness helped with medical terminology. By the end of the second week, Haruto had established a sustainable routine that accommodated the scheduled reviews without disrupting his regular workload. Chapter 5. Cultural element. During a team lunch, conversation turned to different approaches to long-term learning. In traditional Japanese arts, there's the concept of keiko, consistent daily practice. My grandfather practiced calligraphy every morning for 50 years. That reminds me of the spaced repetition approach I've been using, though it's more scientifically optimized. And when I studied in America, I noticed many students would cram before exams. It seemed effective short term, but they often couldn't recall the material a month later. European universities seem different. My cousin studying in Germany described how their system encourages distributed learning throughout the semester. It's interesting how the traditional Japanese emphasis on regular, disciplined practice aligns with what cognitive science now confirms is most effective. Haruto reflected on how his approach to the healthcare project blended cultural practices, the disciplined consistency valued in Japanese business, with the scientifically optimized spacing of Western memory research. Chapter 6. Application. 3 months into the project, the healthcare industry experienced a significant regulatory update. The new Patient Data Protection Amendment affects several components of our system. We need to reassess our compliance approach. Team members who hadn't used spaced repetition struggled to recall the original specifications that needed modification. One colleague spent hours reviewing documentation to understand the impact. I remember we had something about this in the initial requirements, but I can't recall the specifics without checking the entire document. Haruto, however, quickly identified the affected components. The amendment primarily affects 3 areas of our system: the patient data classification module in Section 4.7, the consent management process in Section 6.2, and the audit trail requirements in Section 8.5. The following week, during a client meeting with Asahi Medical Systems executives, Haruto demonstrated the value of his spaced repetition system. How does your solution ensure compliance with both the original requirements and the new amendments throughout the remaining development cycle? Without hesitation, Haruto provided a detailed response that connected specifications from different phases of the project. His system allowed him to access information from various time points without confusion. Our architecture was designed with regulatory adaptability in mind. The modular approach we outlined in the initial proposal, specifically the compliance verification layer, allows us to implement the new requirements without compromising the core patient data protections we established in March. Chapter 7: Success. At the 5-month mark, the project underwent a comprehensive compliance audit. Your implementation of Section 4.7 regarding data classification is particularly thorough. How did you ensure consistency between the initial requirements and the mid-project regulatory updates? We maintained a detailed mapping between the original classification schema and the updated requirements. The key was understanding how the foundational principles established in the initial specification translated to the new framework. The auditors appeared impressed by Haruto's command of both current and historical project details. After the audit, the client expressed their appreciation. We've been through many system implementations, but your team's consistent understanding of our requirements from day one has been exceptional. There's usually significant drift in how consultants interpret our needs over time. Later that day, Director Yamamoto acknowledged Haruto's performance. The client specifically mentioned your memory of their requirements from the initial meetings. Your consistent recall throughout this project has prevented costly compliance issues. Several team members approached Haruto requesting guidance on implementing similar systems for their projects. Could you show me how you set up your review system? I'm starting a 3-month project next week. I've noticed how efficiently you maintain project details. It would help me with the regulatory aspects of my financial project. Chapter 8: Reflection. That evening, Haruto updated his memory technique journal. Spaced repetition has transformed my approach to long-term projects. While previous techniques focused on how to encode and retrieve information, spaced repetition addresses when to review for maximum efficiency. It's not about memorizing everything at once, but maintaining knowledge over time with minimal effort. The system becomes more valuable as the project progresses. What initially seemed like a small investment in setting up the system has saved countless hours of review and prevented critical memory lapses. I've found that combining spaced repetition with my other techniques creates a comprehensive approach. Chunking and memory palaces help organize information, while spaced repetition ensures I review at optimal intervals. As he finished writing, Haruto received an email about an upcoming presentation requiring him to explain a complex technical diagram while remembering specific talking points about each component. A visual presentation with specific verbal points to remember for each element? I'll need a way to connect the visual components with verbal descriptions. Each technique was building upon the last, creating a comprehensive toolkit for professional memory challenges in international business settings.